route and just keep saying no until it's so much where you're suddenly like a top 10 paid college football coach. And I think Monty's looking at it the same way, where it's like, I'm looking at the East right now. I don't know where Cade's health is at. They finished 5th in this lottery projection here. Am I starting Marvin Bagley and James Wiseman at the 4 or 5 going into next year? Like, this seems like a lot of losing, and this might be my last shot because, like, Monty, this will be job number 3, right? Like, you don't. It's just really hard to get 4 or 5 NBA head coaching jobs. So, like, if this is going to be it for Monty in terms of his last real opportunity, I guess you could always go the Alvin Gentry route, where it's like, are we sure the man is not going to pop back up as a head coach somewhere next year? Who knows? But I think it's a good hire for the Pistons because it doesn't count against the salary cap. And if you think you got the guy, like, look, he's competent, he's good, and we'll see what happens. But it's a lot of money. And that just, I think, shows more of where the Pistons are, where it's like, Monty's like, this feels like 25 and 62. Like, I'm going to need you to keep backing this up because I don't see a path to me making the playoffs or having a good, competent basketball team for the next couple of years. So if you fire me in the next 2 years because this team is not good, because the pieces just aren't there, at least I'm going to get paid really well in those couple of years and maybe some buyout money and all that kind of stuff. That was my thought.
I wonder if this ends up being a groundbreaking contract in coaching because, one, you've seen a lot of recent coaching contracts be a little bit shorter, where it's like a 3+1 or a 4-year deal. And that's kind of the standard. Maybe if it's a head coach that the organization really loves, they'll give him like a 5-year deal. But for him to get it's not just a 6-year deal. According to my colleagues at The Athletic, James Edwards, the third, and Shams Sharania, there's team options for years 7 and 8. So this is upwards of an 8-year deal for about $100 million. The 78.5 is the largest sum of guaranteed money for a head coach in NBA history, and that's putting him at about a little over, again, this is where my math, it's like almost $13 million a year. So that's wild. Like that's a lot of money. Like, I think coaching salaries aren't public, so we only know what gets reported. And there's a lot of times where like a Pop or a Spo signs an extension and we don't necessarily know the final figures, but that puts him, I would guess, at least top 5, if not top 3 in terms of,
I would say top 3 for sure.
Probably top 3. So that's pretty wild. And I like Monty. I think he's a good coach. I've had some recent conversations with people where they've been more down on him because of the way Phoenix has lost, in the past couple of postseasons. But I think he's deserving of it. I think he's definitely a top 10 coach, if not, bordering on that top 5. I'd probably peg him off the top of my head more like 6 to 8. But it's interesting that this is something I feel like moving forward, if I'm a top coaching candidate, if I'm Mike Budenholzer and if he gets another opportunity, which I think he will, I'm looking at that like, well, I'm a championship head coach. I've won more than Monty. Like, where's my bag? So to your point, I think Detroit had to go over the top with both years and annual salary to secure him and to entice him. But it was just interesting to me that this could be one of those contracts that almost like I don't want to compare him to Timofey Mozgov, but kind of like in 2016 with Timofey Mozgov, kind of setting the center market. I wonder if this sets the coaching market for the next several years of all of a sudden we start to see all these 5 and 6 year deals. Because to your point, it's like if he gets fired in 2 years, he has 4 more years to get paid. That's the nice part of this for him, is the security of just he could do whatever and you have guaranteed money.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer for Monty Williams. I just imagine, can you imagine just being on the private plane and they're offering what now? No, send it back. And he's like, let me see Jaden Ivey shoot again. All right, send it back. Is that Jaden Duren and James Wiseman at the 4 or 5 last year? All right, send it back. We're going to need 8 years.
It's they have the number 1 pick, right? No, number 2, number 3,
nope.
Number 5.
Yeah,
okay.
it's
Well,
That's
that's
a
an
tough
extra
job.
10
Like
million.
you can make the case that's bottom 3 job right now in the league.
You're saying overall or what was
Overall.
available?